Hey, hi everybody. I just wanted to post this because I use it with, myself constantly and almost every single one of my clients. So I thought I would post it here so that dear ones can come and just in case you don't remember the steps. This is an exercise that comes from, it's inspired by Kristin Neff's work. In fact, it's called the Self-Compassion Break. It's also informed by loving kindness meditation. And this is, my little spin on it and how I teach it to clients to use really in a moment of suffering when we want to pick up the thread. And it's always there. There is always a thread, a place to meet ourselves with compassion. We can't take the parts of ourselves or the aspects of life, however unwanted, and tell them to get out of here. That just causes more pressure, more tension in our whole system. So wherever we can pick up that thread of self-compassion, it's important to find it. And there are some days when it's just aspirational, when it's just, may I have compassion for myself? Or, I'm learning to have compassion for myself, or I'm meeting that part of me that absolutely cannot have compassion for me. I'm going to meet that part with compassion. So there's always a way. I'm a knitter, right? And I've been through some pretty terrible yarn knots or burps, and there's always a way to patiently sit with the threads and to find the one that's going to really help unravel the whole bit, the whole tangled mess. And so this is the way that I like to do it. Step one is recognizing that it's a moment of suffering. And, you're right in that vortex of suck or shit show or whatever you call it, panic, anything, right? And we just stop and we meet it kind of head on, right? With mindfulness. We stop fighting it or being afraid of it, or, oh my gosh, is it coming? Is it coming? We're just like, oh, it's here. And I do this because we want to meet it as honestly and head on as possible. And we want to watch out for minimizing it. Like, oh, this is ridiculous, not this again. There's people with much bigger problems than I have. I'm just feeling sorry for myself. That's not what I'm talking about. From really acknowledging physical sensations in your body, any thoughts that are getting you, obviously any emotions, distressing emotions that are there, and we want to notice them, name them if we can, just be with them in this honest, head-on, what's here, bare attention. That's mindfulness, right? Curiosity and compassion for what we're going through right now. So we don't want to minimize, and we also don't want to exaggerate, right? So noticing the tug, if it's there, instead of being with your direct experience in the moment, which is hard enough without the layer of, oh, why does this always happen to me? Or it's things that might exaggerate it, like, here we go again, like this always happens, or, I'm so, just anything that makes it worse, right? So we want to stay right in the middle, right honest with it. Notice if you're veering into minimizing it. Notice if there's any thoughts around that are trying to add to it and make it worse. That's step one. Step two is about tapping into the universality of suffering. And this is an important step because typically in our culture, there's this idea that if you're suffering or you're hurting in some way, like you're doing shit wrong, like you don't have life down, and that adds so much more pain to an already distressing moment. So this tries to really flip that script a bit, tapping into the universality of suffering, that you're not the only one. Humans suffer, and that's actually the norm, right? That life is full of challenges, and so reaching out, whatever it may be for you in that moment. So if you're a mom with a child that won't sleep and you're just pulling your hair out, connect with your sisters. Connect with your sisters across your neighborhood, in your town, in your city, your state, the whole region, the whole US, the whole world. Tapping into all the mothers everywhere that are at their wits' end, either because they can't get a baby to sleep or whatever your particular situation is, because you're not the only one. And our suffering can be so isolating, and we're convinced that we're the only one that's going through it and everybody else has it all figured out, and that's just not true. No matter what it is you're going through, there's somebody out there at that exact moment in time going through something very similar, right? And this applies widely, no matter what your situation is. And then step 3 is really a collective breath of you're wishing it for yourself and for everybody, whatever makes sense to you in that moment, whatever you're needing. May we all take a deep breath. May we all show ourselves compassion in this moment of suffering. May we all, seek our truth so we can speak our truth, right? So may we all look for what it is we need. Sometimes it's simple. Sometimes it's a cup of tea. Sometimes it's calling a friend. Sometimes it's just taking a deep breath, or getting some green in your eyeballs by looking out the window. Or tapping into your values, tapping into what's important. In the most challenging of situations, we can always ask ourselves, who do I want to be in this situation? How do I want to meet this crisis, right? Whatever it may be. So step 1, head on, honest. This is a moment of suck. Notice what's around for you. Notice what you're feeling and thinking. And being with that, without judgment, without minimizing it or exaggerating it, just meeting it right where it's at, whatever your experience is. Step 2, opening up to all your brothers and sisters everywhere in this moment that's going through something incredibly similar, right? And then the 3rd, what do you need? May we all take a deep breath. May we all give ourselves compassion. So you and all those people you just connected with in step 2, may you all soften. May you all recognize that suffering, while a frequent experience in a human life, it doesn't stay, right? That the storms pass, that we can stay steady. All right, so be well, and hopefully this was helpful to you.